So, okay, the recording started, and let us start from number one. Okay, number one, draw. So here we have what we need to do is to take the square. So basically we have 2x minus 1 absolute v squared, and then so x plus 1 absolute square. Then in this case we have 4x squared plus 4x plus 1 less than or equal to x squared plus 2x plus 1. So in this case, if we move everything to the left hand side of the inequality, we will have 3x squared minus 6x, yeah, only that, because plus 1 and plus 1 we eliminate it. Before the less than, this is equal to 3x times x minus 2, right? Less than or equal to 0. So here we have x equal to 0 or x equal to 2, such that the inequality becomes equality. Jadi di sini kita dapat ternyata x-nya 0 atau x-nya 2 supaya pertidaksamaan ini menjadi persamaan, ya. Okay, now we draw the solution line. We have 0 and 2 here, and since this is less than or equal to, we draw a full circle. And since all the powers are 1, so we divide it like this. We make wall and we put the power to be 1, 1. Jadi di sini kita gambar lingkarannya penuh karena ini tidak persamaan tidak samanya adalah kurang dari sama dengan, ya, pertidaksamanya. Di lingkarannya penuh, kemudian karena pangkat dari masing-masing akarnya adalah 1, kita gambar dindingnya dengan atasnya 1. Okay. Then now let's pick a value, let's say 1. So at 1 we have 3 times 1 is positive, times 1 minus 2 is negative, so positive times negative is negative. So here is negative, and otherwise here on the other sides are positive. So in this case we will have this as our solution. So the solution is x in between 0 and 2. Ya. Jadi solusinya adalah dari 0 sampai 2. Ya. So this one is easy, right? Any question? No? Then let me jump to here. Here we have, okay, cosine of x is equal to cosine square half of x minus sine square half of x. This one, I suppose that you know this one, right? Kalian tahu ini kan, ya? Yeah?
Yes, sir.
And 1 is cosine square x over 2 plus sine square x over 2. This is identity. Ini identitas. And for the upper one is actually this one is half angle formula. So here we have 1 minus cos x over 1 plus cos x is equal to cosine square x over 2 plus sine square x over 2 minus cosine square x over 2 minus sine square x over 2 divided by cosine square x over 2 plus sine square x over 2 plus cosine square x over 2 minus sine square x over 2, right? So from here we can actually eliminate this guy, because cosine square x over 2 minus cosine square x over 2 is 0, and for the denominator we have to eliminate the sine square, right? So from here we have 2 times sine square x over 2 over 2 times cosine square x over 2, and we do it like this. So now we have sine x over 2 over cosine x over 2 squared, which means that we have tangent of x over 2 squared, or we can write it to be like this, tangent square x over 2. Yeah. So this is how you should answer this number 2. Ini caranya menjawab nomor 2 ya. Di hintnya sudah jelas, Anda boleh memakai double angle atau half angle formula. Kemudian disubstitusikan semuanya ya. Ternyata kita dapat setelah disubstitusikan kita dapat sin kuadrat x plus 2 per cos kuadrat x plus 2. Ini adalah tan kuadrat x plus 2 ya. For this one, any question? No?
I think no.
Clear. Okay, then for this one, this is easy, right? Because we simply need to substitute t with 1. So here we have 1 squared plus 2 minus square root of 1, which is 1 plus 1, which is 1 times 0, which is 0. This one is easy, and for the next one is also easy, because here for x goes to infinity, we have limit x goes to infinity of 1 minus x squared over x squared plus 1 is limit x goes to infinity of 1 over x squared minus 1 over 1 plus 1 over x squared, which is 0 minus 1 over 1 plus 0, which is minus 1. So this is the first horizontal asymptote, is y equals to minus 1. And for x goes to minus infinity, then we have limit x goes to minus infinity of 1 minus x squared over x squared plus 1, which is equal to limit x goes to minus infinity of 1 over x squared minus 1 over 1 plus 1 over x squared, which is again minus 1. So this is the only horizontal asymptote that we have. Yeah, this is easy, but now we go to number 5. Number 5. So here we have V1 is ds1 over dt, which is d dt of 3t power 3 minus 12t squared plus 18t plus 5, which is equal to 9t squared minus 24t plus 18. And we also have V2, which is ds2 over dt, which is equal to t dt of minus t cubed plus 9t squared minus 12t. Then in this case we have minus 3t squared plus 18t minus 12. Okay, now the question is, when do the particles have the same velocities? So we have the velocities, which means that what we need to do now is to make V1 equals V2. So here we have 9t squared minus 24t plus 18 equals minus 3t squared plus 18t minus 12, which means that now if we move everything to the left hand side of the equality, we have 12t squared minus 24 minus 24 minus 18, so 24 plus 18, 34, 42 t plus 30 equals to 0. So if we divide everything by 2, we have 6t squared minus 21t plus 15 equals to 0. If we divide everything by 3, we have 2t squared minus 7t plus 5 equals to 0. So in this case, we have 2t
minus 5
plus 5
minus
plus 5 and
I'm sorry sir, minus I mean
no, I think it should be 2t minus minus 3 and t plus 5. Oh, sorry. The sign should be the sign should be the other way. 2t plus 3 and t minus 5 equals to 0, because okay, 2t squared 2 minus 5 minus 10t plus 3t minus, okay, and now no, this is not correct. What is the correct factorization?
2 plus minus 5 and plus t minus 1.
2t minus 5.
T minus 1.
And okay, t minus 1. Yeah, this is correct. 2t squared minus 5t minus 2t. Okay, plus 5. So in this case, we have t equals to 5 over 2 or t equals to 1. And this is the answer. Yeah. Any question for this problem? Should be easy, right? So we find the derivative of the position, we find the velocity, and we make the two velocities equal. So in that case, we have find the t for which both velocities equal. Nah, jadi di sini pertanyaannya adalah kapan partikelnya punya kecepatan yang sama. Berarti kan kita tinggal cari persamaan kecepatannya, kita buat sama, kita cari t yang memenuhi itu. Ya. Any question? No?
Sir.
Yes.
Can you go up a little? Nah, we got plus 5 in the beginning. Where do that go?
Yeah, we differentiate a constant by anything is 0, right?
Oh.
Ya, turunan konstan terhadap apapun itu selalu 0.
Okay. Siap.
Yeah. So because we want to differentiate this guy over t with respect to t, then we whenever we find a constant, the derivative is 0. Ya. Jadi karena kita mau menurunkan ini terhadap t, maka yang konstan selalu jadi 0. Jadi tidak ada. Any more question? No? Then this one. A girl flies a kite at a height of 300 feet. The wind carrying the kite horizontally away. Okay. So basically this is the girl. And then here is the line. So initially, she let out the string. Okay. So initially the height is 300 feet. So here is, say, height is 300 feet. And this is the kite. And then the kite is pushed horizontally by the wind at the rate of let's say here is the horizontal. Okay, let's say this is y and the horizontal axis is x. X is x, no, what we have is dx. dt is 25, and the question is how fast must she let out the string when the kite is 500 feet away from her. So here we have y equals to 500. Okay. So now the question is, how should we build up the relation between all of them? So in this case, we have this is the angle. And initially we have Okay, so let's say this is x and this is r. Okay, so and this is equal to r0, 1. And here we have r equals to r squared equals to x squared plus y squared. Or not. We have front. No, this is the incorrect. So here, this is okay. We have sine of theta is equal to x over r, which means that okay, what we want is actually dr dt equals to what number? Okay, I suppose that this is correct, maybe. And then from here, we have that r is equal to x over sine theta. But we don't have theta. Okay, initially we have y 300, this is 500, so the x must be around 400, right? So here we have the relation. Okay, because we assume that the height is the same. So in this case, we have dy dt is equal to 0. So this is not the correct equation in this case. Then since we know that here is a square, then we use r squared equal to y squared plus x squared, which means that if we want to differentiate all of them with respect to t, we have 2r dr dt equals to 2y dy dt plus 2x dx dt. So in this case, we have that dr dt is equal to 1 over r y dy dt plus x dx dt. Then in this case, we have 1 over 500. Y is 300 but the height does not change. The height still 0. So we assume that the kite is not going up. So here dy dt is 0. Plus x is now 400. Dx dt is 25. So here we have 400 times 25 over 500. So we can cancel this and we have 5. So this is 20 feet per second. Yeah. Any question? Yeah, di sini yang kita buat adalah gambarnya ya. Kita gambar talinya. Kemudian mula-mula ketinggiannya adalah 300. Ya. Kita asumsikan lurus ke atas. Tapi ada angin, kemudian meniupkan layang-layang secara horizontal dengan kecepatan 25 kaki per detik. Sehingga kita punya relasi seperti ini ya, ke atas kemudian geser ke kanan. Dan pertanyaannya adalah seberapa cepat kita harus melepaskan atau mengeluarkan talinya ya, ketika jarak antara si layang-layang dengan anak perempuan ini adalah 500 kaki. Mula-mula 300, kemudian dia jadi 500, hubungannya seperti ini. Dan kita tahu bahwa ini siku-siku ya, siku-siku karena kecepatannya tidak ada asumsi kecepatannya berubah di sini. Tidak ada asumsi ketinggian dari ketinggian dari si layang-layang berubah. Sehingga kita hanya menggunakan ketinggian ini untuk mencari seberapa jauh ke kanan dia berpindah. Ternyata dengan trigonometri ya kita tahu bahwa kalau 3, 5 pasangannya pasti 4 ya. Jadi kita di sini kita punya dengan Pitagoras 3, 5 pasangannya 4. Sehingga di sini kita punya X-nya adalah 400. Ketika jarak si layang-layangnya adalah 500 kaki dari si anak perempuan ini. Sehingga kita punya relasi ya dengan rumus Pitagoras, R kuadrat adalah Y kuadrat plus X kuadrat. Di sini kita cari dr dt, sehingga kita turunkan semuanya terhadap T ya. Turunan R kuadrat terhadap T adalah dengan aturan rantai ya, kita turunkan R kuadrat terhadap R dulu, jadi 2R dikalikan turunan R terhadap T. Kemudian turunan Y terhadap T sama, kita pakai aturan rantai, kita punya 2Y dy dt. Turunan X terhadap T sama, kita pakai aturan rantai, kita punya 2X dx dt. Sehingga dr dt-nya kita punya persamaannya ini ya, 1/R kali yang di dalam kurung. Kemudian kita tinggal masukkan angka-angka yang kita punya, sehingga kita dapat kecepatannya berapa ya. Sampai di sini apakah ada pertanyaan?
Sir.
Sir.
Ya.
Yaudah.
Satu-satu.
Niva aja deh, Niva dulu.
Oke. Boleh ke atas sedikit. Sir masih sedikit bingung sama dx per dt-nya yang hasil 25 dan d per dt-nya hasilnya 0.
Okay. Do you want me to answer it in English or bahasa?
Both maybe bisa.
Bahasa? Oke. Jadi di sini mengapa dx dt-nya 25 nih? Ini 25 dari sini ya. Horizontally away from her at the rate of 25 feet per second. Jadi horizontal itu kan berarti dia garis datar gini ya, sejajar dengan permukaan bumi. Sehingga di sini kita punya dia berpindah ke kanan dengan kecepatan 25 kaki per detik. Yang ini bisa dipahami?
Bisa, sir.
Bisa. Kemudian dy dt-nya kenapa 0? Karena di sini hanya ada keterangan layang-layangnya diterbangkan pada ketinggian 300 kaki ya. Jadi asumsinya ketinggiannya tetap 300 kaki. Jadi misalkan di sini ini tetap 300 kaki ya. Di sini juga tetap 300 kaki. Jadi kalau kita hitung ini tetap 300 kaki. Sehingga ketinggiannya berubah atau tidak?
Oh iya, tidak, sir.
Nah, kalau tidak berubah berarti dy dt-nya 0. Ya, karena ketinggiannya konstan.
Thank you, sir.
Ya. Any more question?
Yeah, sir.
No?
Actually, the first one, my first question is same with Hanifa, but the second question is ketika si R-nya ini 500 terus Y-nya 300 kan X pasti 4 tuh. Apakah itu harus tetap 400 juga menyamakan dengan Y sama R-nya?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, because we have this Pythagoras form, right? 500 square. Sorry. So we have X squared plus Y squared equal to R squared. So here we have X equal to square root of R square minus Y square, which is square root of 500 square minus 300 square, which is 400.
Okay.
So this is basically just Pythagoras.
Okay,
thank you, sir. Any more question? No? Now the last one. This is actually this should not be that hard. The only thing that you need to take into mind is that, okay, what we use is implicit differentiation equals to 2x plus 4, and we want to differentiate everything with respect to x, dy dx. So in this case, we have dy dx of y minus x squared equals to dy, so not dy dx, d dx. We differentiate everything with respect to x. So in this case, we have d dx of 2x plus 4. Okay. The right hand side is easy because we have 2. Turunan 2x per 4 terhadap x adalah 2. And the left hand side, we use the chain rule, for which we have 2y minus x times the derivative of inside is dy dx minus 1. Ini kita pakai aturan rantai untuk yang sebelah kiri. Dengan aturan rantai kita dapat turunannya adalah 2y min x. Kita turunkan dulu kuadratnya, baru kemudian kita turunkan yang di dalam kurung. Ya. Yang di dalam kurung ini turunannya adalah turunan y terhadap x, ya dy dx, turunan x terhadap x, ya 1. So from here we have that dy dx minus 1 is equal to 1 over y minus x. Because we have 2 here on the left and on the right. So on the right we left out with 1. So in this case we have dy dx is equal to 1 plus 1 over y minus x, and we want to evaluate it at the point 6,2. So we evaluate all of this at point 6,2, which is 1 plus 1 over 6 minus 2, which is 1 plus 1 over 4, which is 5 over 4. Okay, now we have dx dt, which is the gradient. So we simply need to put it in this equation. Y equals to mx plus c, which means that we have c equals to y minus mx, which is equal to 6 minus 5 over 4 times x is 2, which is 6 minus 5 over 2. Then here we have 7 over 2. So finally we have the tangent line equation is y equals to 7 over, sorry, y equals to 5/4x plus 7/2. Yeah. Any question? Ya, jadi prosesnya sama ya. Kita cari turunan terhadap x semua. Kemudian kita dapat persamaan dy dx-nya. Kita evaluasi di titik yang diberikan. Sehingga kita mendapatkan gradiennya, yaitu 5/4. Baru kita pakai rumus yang biasanya, y sama dengan mx plus c. Di mana di sini kita mencari c-nya di titik yang sama, yaitu 6,2. Oh, sorry, I made a mistake. No. It's not like this. Sorry, I made a mistake. This is this should be 2 minus 6. So 1 minus 1/4, which is 3/4. And here we have 2 minus 3/4 times 6, which is 2 minus divided by 9/2. Now we have actually minus 5/2. So in this case, the equation is 3/4 x, not plus but minus 5/2. Yeah. Okay. Any question? Ada pertanyaan?
Sir, I'm still confused for this number.
Ya.
Kayak gitu.
Yang mana?
Dari awalnya. Nomor 7.
Okay, please let me know which part, why you are confused.
Udah masuk ke bagian yang M, sir.
Okay, but the previous one is okay. When I try to find dy dx, is it clear?
Clear, sir.
Clear. And then now I have I want to find m, right?
Yeah.
M is dy dx basically, ya. Jadi sampai mencari dy dx, apakah sudah jelas ya? Jadi mencari turunannya sudah jelas ya. Kemudian turunan ini kita pakai untuk mencari gradien. Gradiennya adalah dy dx, kan ya?
Yes, sir.
Kemudian ya oke. Untuk mencari gradien di titik 6,2, karena kita punya dy dx, kita cukup masukkan dy dx di titik 6,2 itu. Sehingga ya 1 plus 1 per y minus x, itu kita tinggal ganti y-nya dengan 2, x-nya dengan 6. Sehingga kita dapat gradiennya adalah 3/4 di sini. Sampai sini apakah jelas?
Iya, jelas, sir.
Are you sure?
Bagian Y-nya.
And then this y equals to mx plus c. This is the equation for line. From high school. Nah, ini persamaan garis dari SMA ya. Kalian sudah belajar ini. Persamaan ini bisa dipahami?
Bisa, sir.
So in this case, now we have y, we have m, we have x. What we need to find is c. Ya. Yang kita ingin cari adalah c, atau in English usually it is called intercept. Ya.
Oh, itu cuma dibalik aja ya, sir, buat cari C-nya ya?
Yes. We simply move
Jadi
mx to
tinggal masuk script.
yeah. How is it clear?
Yes, clear, sir.
Yeah, it's clear, sir.
Clear, sir.
So we have all the answers. Now you can guess what will your score be. Let me check. Yeah, the answer is still there. Let me upload it to here so that you can read it. Yeah. Now you can all get the solution. Now let me continue with our course, which in this last 1 hour I will talk about 4 things, which is extreme values of function, mean value theorem, monotonicity, and concavity. Di 1 jam terakhir ini saya akan membahas 4 bagian ya. Extreme values of function. This is basic from your high school. Basically, what we need to know is what is absolute maximum and absolute minimum. Yang perlu kita tahu itu apa itu maksimum absolut atau absolute minimum ya. So basically absolute maximum and absolute minimum is absolute maximum is when we have f at c. C is a point where the function have absolute maximum if all x in the domain made fx is always less than or equal to c. Jadi dia adalah absolute maksimum. Titik C ini adalah absolute maksimum kalau nilai fungsinya di semua titik selain C itu selalu di bawahnya nilai fungsi di titik C. Begitu juga dengan absolute minimum ya. And this maximum and minimum values is basically called as extreme values. Jadi nilai maksimum, nilai minimum itu disebut sebagai nilai ekstrim. Okay, for example, we have y equals to x squared, but the domain is from -∞ to infinity. In this case, we have no absolute maximum because the curve is like this, from -∞ to infinity. You see my cursor here, but this function has absolute minimum 0 at x equal to 0. Jadi y sama dengan x kuadrat itu tidak punya absolut maksimum karena nilainya akan selalu menjadi tak hingga ya, akan selalu naik terus. Tapi dia punya absolut minimum yaitu 0 di saat x-nya sama dengan 0. Karena kalau x-nya sama dengan 0, 0 kuadrat adalah 0 ya, y-nya 0. And then what if we change the domain? Now the domain, we restrict the domain to be only from 0 to 2. Jadi sekarang kita batasi domainnya hanya dari 0 sampai 2. In this case, we have absolute maximum at x equal to 2, which is 4. Ya. Jadi kita kalau seperti ini berarti kita punya nilai absolute maksimum. Karena angka 2 itu termasuk pada domain D, ya, sehingga kita bisa evaluasi Y di titik 2. Sehingga di sini kita punya bahwa nilai absolut maksimumnya adalah 4. And it has also absolute minimum of 0 at x equal to 0. Because 0 is in the domain. But what about how if we change the domain again? So now 0 is not included in the domain. Jadi sekarang 0 tidak termasuk di domainnya ya karena kita pakai kurung biasa. saying in this case we still have absolute maximum because 2 is still in the domain, but we don't have absolute minimum. Di sini kita tidak punya absolute minimum karena 0 tidak termasuk ya. 0 tidak termasuk, sehingga paling bawah itu nilainya lingkaran yang bolong. So in this case we cannot guess what is the absolute minimum. Jadi di sini karena kita selalu bisa mencari nilai yang sangat dekat dengan 0, tapi tidak pernah sama dengan 0, sehingga nilai dari minimumnya itu akan selalu berubah-ubah. In this case we don't have absolute minimum ya. So basically, if the domain in this case, now we have the domain from 0 to 2, but 0 is not included, 2 is also not included. In this case, we don't have absolute maximum or absolute minimum. Yeah. Any question?
Jadi sir, ini tergantung kurungnya atau gimana?
It depends on the domain. Ya, tergantung kurungnya juga ya. Untuk kasus ini, ya, in this case, since we have closed interval, ya, in B, jadi di kasus B kita punya interval tertutup, ya. Jadi 0 and 2 is included in the domain, jadi 0 dan 2 itu masuk ke domainnya, sehingga kita bisa mengevaluasi, ya. In this case, we can evaluate the value of y at the boundary point. Ya. Jadi kita bisa mengevaluasi nilai y di titik batasnya, di titik 0 dan di titik 2. But for the C case, we cannot evaluate the value of y at 0 because 0 is not included. Jadi di kasus yang C, kita tidak bisa mengevaluasi, kita tidak bisa menghitung nilai y di titik 0 karena 0 tidak termasuk di domainnya. So that's it basically. Any question?
Tapi yang untuk yang A itu yang Tahingga itu kenapa absolute minimumnya itu 0?
Ya, because in this case we have actually absolute minimum. Ya, karena di sini kita punya nilai absolute minimum. Why? Because the curve looks like this. Ya. And basically we can find a point that for which the value of the function is at the absolute minimum. Jadi kita di sini kita bisa mencari titik x di mana nilai fungsinya itu minimum. Because when the domain is from minus infinity to infinity, jadi ketika domainnya itu semua bilangan real, bentuk kurvanya seperti ini kan ya. The curve looks like this. So everything is positive except at 0. Jadi semuanya positif kecuali di titik 0 ya. So in this case, from this definition, yeah, as long as we find a point for which the value of the function is less than all the value of the function at any point, we say that at that point we have absolute minimum. Jadi di sini kebetulan di titik x sama dengan 0, kita punya nilai fungsi di x negatif dan x positif itu semuanya lebih dari y sama dengan 0 kan ya, sehingga di sini kita punya absolute minimum. Is it clear now? Is it clear?
Yes, clear sir.
Any more question? So basically from this example we can see that absolute or extreme values, extreme values or maximum or minimum values can happen at the boundary or somewhere in between. Ya, jadi nilai absolute maksimum atau minimum atau kita sebut sebagai absolute ekstrema itu bisa terjadi di titik batas atau sesuatu di tengah-tengahnya. Ya. So this is the theorem, but you don't need to know this. Basically, okay. Now I want to introduce local maximum and local minimum. Previously, what we learned is absolute value, which is global maximum or global minimum. See, yang kita pelajari sebelumnya adalah absolute value, ya, absolute maximum dan absolute minimum. Kalau sekarang absolute maksimum dan minimum itu berarti artinya dari definisinya dia global, berlaku untuk semua daerah. Tapi sekarang kita akan belajar tentang lokal maksimum, lokal minimum. So local maximum is if we can find a value for which nearby values are always less than that value, and local minimum is the other way around. Jadi local maksimum itu kalau kita mencapai kita punya titik di mana nilai fungsinya di sekitarnya baik kanan maupun kirinya itu di bawah. Minimum kebalikannya ya. So the example looks like this. So we have absolute minimum at point A because no smaller value of f anywhere else. Jadi di sini kita punya interval A sampai B ya. Di sini di titik A dia adalah absolute minimum karena tidak ada, kalau kita lihat fungsinya ya, tidak ada yang lebih rendah daripada nilai fungsi di titik A. Maka dia disebut sebagai absolute minimum. And then at point C, we call it local maximum. Why? Because in its neighborhood, the value of f at that point is maximum, but it is not. But we can still find anywhere else. Somewhere else we can find a value of the function which is greater than that value. Jadi di sini kenapa namanya lokal maksimum? Karena dia hanya di sekitar sini saja dia maksimum. Jadi di interval A sampai B kita punya lokal maksimum seperti ini. Ini disebut lokal maksimum karena dia maksimum di sekitar ini ya, di sekitar titik C. Tapi masih ada nilai fungsi yang lebih tinggi dari itu kalau kita lihat semua intervalnya. Jadi kalau kita lihat A sampai B masih ada yang lebih tinggi. Tapi untuk sekitar ini saja ya, contohnya di sini kita lihat berarti dari A sampai E itu dia maksimum. And then now at point E we have local minimum. The reason is the same because it is minimum but only on its in its neighborhood. Jadi dia minimum tapi hanya di sekitar situ saja. Kalau kita lihat di interval A sampai B dia tidak absolute minimum sehingga kita sebut dia sebagai local minimum. And then at point D we have absolute maximum and point B we have local minimum ya. Any question? Any question? No?
I think no, sir.
No? Then okay. Well, basically, local maximum or minimum is at the value of f prime. The value of the first derivative is 0 at the local maximum or minimum. Ya, jadi kalau mencari maksimum atau minimum itu kita harus cari turunan pertamanya sama dengan 0. Ya. I think you have learned this in your high school, so I can skip this. And this is this is the definition of critical point ya. Jadi kita bisa mendefinisikan titik-titik kritis ya. What are the critical points of f? Is okay, the critical point is if the derivative is 0 or undefined. Jadi critical point, titik kritis itu ketika turunan pertamanya adalah 0 atau tidak terdefinisi ya. So in this case the critical point is basically somewhere in between the interval, and how to find the absolute extrema we need to also evaluate it at their endpoints. So this is the example. Find the absolute maximum and minimum of fx equal to x squared on this interval from -2 to 14. Jadi kita diminta untuk mencari nilai absolut maksimum dan minimum di fx sama dengan x kuadrat pada interval -2 sampai 14. So in this case we find the first derivative to be equal to 0. Ya, jadi kita cari turunan pertamanya yang sama dengan 0. And then we find that for the first derivative to be equal to 0, we need x equal to 0 ya. Supaya turunan pertamanya 0, kita butuh x sama dengan 0. So in this case, we have the critical points, which is x equal to 0. And we also need to check the function value at the endpoints, which is -2. And this is, okay, so sorry, this is not 14, but 1. It should be 1. Let me change it. Extreme values of function. So now we should have the correct slide. So from -2 to 1. So we have the endpoints are -2 and 1. And after that, we evaluate everything. We evaluate the value at all critical points and endpoints. Jadi kemudian kita sudah punya titik kritisnya, yaitu ketika turunnya sama dengan 0. Dan di titik ujungnya, ya, di min 2 dan di 1. Kemudian kita evaluasi, ternyata nilainya adalah, okay, the function has absolute maximum value at 4, of 4 at x minus 2 and absolute minimum value of 0 at x0. Jadi di sini kita lihat setelah kita hitung nilainya, ternyata nilai maksimumnya adalah 4 ya, ketika x-nya min 2, dan nilai minimumnya adalah 0 ketika x-nya 0. Ya. Any question for this example? No? Let's continue. Now, in this case, similar things that we need to do some similar things, which is to find the first derivative to be 0. Ya, jadi kita cari turunan pertamanya 0 dulu untuk to find the critical points, ya, untuk mencari titik kritisnya di domain 1 sampai e kuadrat, in the domain from 1 to e squared. So in this case, we find that the first derivative is 10 times 1 minus ln x. For it to be equal to 0, then we need x to be equal to 0. X to be equal to e. Ya. Jadi supaya turunan pertamanya ini sama dengan 0, kita butuh x-nya adalah e. Ya. Karena ln e adalah 1, ya, 1 min 1, 0. Then in this case, we have the critical points value fe. Fe is here, ya, 10e times 2 minus ln e. Ln e is 1, so 2 minus 1 is 1. Then we have 10e. And at the endpoints, we need to also evaluate it. So we have at the endpoint we have 20 and 0. Nah, jadi kita perlu evaluasi di titik-titik kritisnya dan di titik-titik ujungnya, ya. But remember that we may have more than one critical points, ya. Jadi mungkin saja kita punya lebih dari satu titik kritis. So in this case, we have the function has absolute maximum value at 10e, 10e at x equal to e and absolute minimum value of 0 at x equal to e square. Di sini kita punya nilai maksimum absolutnya adalah 10e di titik x sama dengan e, dan absolut minimumnya adalah 0 di titik x sama dengan e kuadrat. Ya. And this is the last example before we go to the challenge. In this case, we find that the critical points is not where the first derivative is 0, but where the first derivative is undefined. Jadi di sini kita temukan bahwa titik kritisnya itu bukan ketika titik interiornya itu 0, ya. Bukan ketika titik di turunan pertama, bukan ketika turunan pertamanya adalah 0, tapi ketika turunan pertamanya adalah tidak terdefinisi ya. Why? Because this first derivative cannot be 0. Jadi turunan pertama ini tidak pernah 0, but it is undefined at x equal to 0. Tapi dia tidak terdefinisi ketika x-nya sama dengan 0. Ya. Then we have the critical points value 0 and end points value like this. So in this case, we have the function has absolute maximum at x equal to 3 and absolute minimum at x equal to 0. Okay, now this challenge. Okay, for this graph, what is the absolute maximum and what is the absolute minimum? Jadi di grafik ini absolute maksimumnya di titik x sama dengan apa, minimum absolutnya di titik x sama dengan apa? This is quite easy from the graph. Jadi ini seharusnya mudah dari gambar. Ya. Absolute maximum at A, B, or C?
C, sir.
C, yeah, that's correct. And absolute minimum at A, B, or C?
A.
At A, yeah, that's easy then. Now, absolute maximum at A, B, or C?
B.
Absolute maximum?
A.
Oh, A.
At A. Yeah, and absolute minimum at?
C.
C, yeah. Yeah. So absolute maximum at A, absolute minimum at C. Now this one. Sketch the graph of this function. X, okay. Here we have f of x equals to absolute value of x. X from -1 to 2. -1 to 2. But there is no equality there, so the graph should look like this. -1 to 2. But at -1 and 2, we don't have value of f. So here is f of x. Here is x. Here is at point -1. Here's at 2. Yeah. So what is the absolute maximum of this function?
2, sir.
2.
It has no absolute maximum. Do you know why?
Why, sir?
Why? Because the function, we cannot evaluate the function at x equal to 2. Ini tidak punya absolute maksimum karena 2 tidak termasuk di x kan ya?
Itu masuknya ke Y ya?
Ya.
Duanya
There is no equality, right? Jadi tidak ada persamaan ya. Jadi ini hanya kurang dari saja. It's only less than. Then in this case, we cannot evaluate the function at x equal to 2 and x equal to -1. Jadi kita tidak bisa menghitung nilai fungsinya di titik x sama dengan 2 dan x sama dengan -1, ya kan?
Yes, sir, yeah.
Then in this case, it has no absolute maximum from the graph. And what is the absolute minimum?
0.
Absolute minimum of 0 at x equal to 0, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, is it clear now?
Sir, saya mau tanya.
Ya.
Kalau misalnya tandanya itu misalkan lebih kecil terus ada sama dengannya, itu berarti ada absolute maksimum ya? Kalau misalnya lebih kecil sama dengan.
Yes.
Oh, oke. Thank you, sir.
Berarti dia ngikut ya, sir? Kalau ada sama dengannya.
Now the next graph. In this case, we have f of x equal to x squared minus 1. X squared minus 1, x from minus 1 to 2, but this is less than or equal to. So if we graph it, the graph should look like this. And now, since there is equality, this minus 1, here's 1, here's 2. This is x, and this is 3. This is minus 1. So, what is the absolute maximum? Absolute maximum of, in this case, what is the absolute maximum? Okay, the absolute maximum is 3 at x equal to 2, and absolute minimum of minus 1 at x equal to 0.
Sir, I'm sorry to interrupt, but why is x minus 2?
Which one?
The absolute max.
X equal to 2, sorry.
Oh, equal to 2, sorry. Sorry, sir.
Yeah. Let me talk about this one. So what is the natural domain of y? The domain is from 0 to infinity. Do you know why?
I don't know, sir.
Because we have this ln. Ya, karena kita ada ln, because we have ln, this is logarithm. We cannot have log 0, right? We cannot, so we cannot have ln 0, and we cannot have ln negative. Kita tidak bisa punya ln negatif, so that's why the domain is only from 0 to infinity. Now we have y prime equal to ln x plus 1. We want to make it to be equal to 0, then in that case we have ln x equal to -1, then in that case we have x to be equal to e power -1, which is 1 over e. So in this case, we have that the extreme values, so y at x equal to 1 over e is equal to 1 over e ln 1 over e, which is minus 1 over e. And this is the value for which this is absolute minimum. Because if we choose x to be equal to 1, then y is 0, then yeah, this is absolute minimum. So this is the example. Before I continue to the next slide, any question? Ada pertanyaan?
Sir, so
Yeah.
if we in the question we have ln x, so it must be the infinite, right?
The domain must be from 0 to positive infinity.
Oh, okay.
Because we cannot have ln 0 or ln negative. We cannot have log 0 or log negative. Right?
Right, sir. Right. Okay, thank you.
Any more question? No? If not, then I want to continue with the next slide, which is about mean value theorem. This is a quick one. So basically, this is a theorem, and let's just go to the example. So how to show that this equation has exactly one real solution. Yeah. But in this case, basically, if we put x equal to -1 and x equal to 0, we have that the function is at x equal to -1 is negative, at x equal to 0 is positive. So in this case, basically, we know that at some point the value of the function cross 0. Kita misalkan di sini fx-nya adalah x kuadrat plus 3x plus 1. Kita masukkan x-nya min 1 dan x-nya 0. Ternyata kalau min 1 nilai fungsinya adalah min 3. Kalau 0 nilainya adalah 1. Maka di sini jelas suatu saat di antara x min 1 sampai x 0, nilai fungsinya itu suatu saat akan sama dengan 0. And in this case, we have that in the open interval from -1 to 0, the solution here must exist. Jadi di antara min 1 sampai 0, kita pasti punya solusi dari persamaan ini. But can we guarantee that the function can we guarantee that the solution is only one? Apakah kita bisa menjamin kalau hanya ada satu akar di antara min 1 sampai 0? In this case, we only know that the value change from negative to positive. Jadi di sini kita hanya tahu nilainya berubah dari negatif ke positif. So in this case, we can conclude that there must be somewhere some roots somewhere in between. Jadi kita tahu bahwa akarnya pasti ada. Pasti ada di antara min 1 sampai 0. So in this case, what we want to do is, okay, we want to show that it has exactly one real solution. Based on the Rolle's theorem, Rolle's theorem guarantee the existence of a point x equal to c between -1 to 0 where f prime is 0. Ya, jadi di sini maksudnya apa? Teorema ini sebenarnya pengennya menggaransi bahwa oke, ada turunan titik x sama dengan c di mana turunannya adalah 0. However, we find that the derivative is 3x squared plus 3. Ya. Jadi ternyata turunannya adalah 3x kuadrat plus 3, di mana di sini turunannya tidak pernah negatif ya. Here the derivative is always positive. So therefore f no more than 1, 0. Jadi di sini bisa kita simpulkan bahwa oke, karena di sini turunannya tidak pernah 0 ya. So in this case jadi karena turunannya tidak pernah 0, grafiknya itu kalau di sini selalu positif ya. So in this case the graph is always going up ya. Jadi grafiknya hanya naik terus. So that's why we can conclude that hanya ada satu akar ya, only one root. But this is actually quite hard to digest. But the main thing in this part is the mean value theorem. So basically, what we want is okay. If we have y equals to fx, and we want to evaluate at the closed interval from a to b, then we can always find at least one point c in AB at which this equation satisfied. Jadi kalau kita punya y sama dengan fx yang continue di interval a sampai b dan turunannya ada, ya, maka kita pasti menemukan setidaknya satu titik c dari interval a sampai b yang mana kemiringannya ya itu sama dengan kemiringan dari garis AB. So this is the illustration. So here is x equal to a and x equal to b. So we want to, if we plot the function from a to b, then basically, okay, we can try to find a point C somewhere in between A to B, for which the slope or the first derivative at that point is equal to this line. Jadi yang mau di ilustrasi ini ya, kita punya A sampai B ya, kemudian berarti kita punya kemiringan dari titik A ke titik B, ya. Kemiringannya adalah ini yang garis kuning. Kemudian kita teorema ini menyatakan bahwa kita pasti bisa menemukan titik C di antara A sampai B yang mana turunannya itu sama dengan kemiringan yang kuning ini ya. So in this case you see that kalian lihat bahwa mereka sejajar ya. Now let's take this example. So this function fx equal to x squared is continuous from 0 to 2 and is differentiable from 0 to 2, but 0 and 2 is not included. So since we have that f0, 0 and f2 is equal to 4, from the mean value theorem, we can compute this left hand side. Ya. Jadi kita bisa hitung yang sebelah kiri sama dengan f2 minus f0 over 2 minus 0, which is equal to 2. And from this theorem, it says that we can find a value c for which the derivative, which is 2x, equal to 2. Jadi kita pasti bisa menemukan titik C di mana turunannya yaitu turunan dari x kuadrat adalah 2x, di mana di titik C itu ya nilai turunannya sama yaitu 2. So in this case we get that C is equal to 1. For another example, okay, if a car accelerating from 0 takes 8 seconds to go 352 feet, its average velocity for the 8-second interval is 352 over 8, which is 44 feet per second. Then the mean value theorem says that at some point during the acceleration, the speedometer must read exactly 30 meters per hour or 44 feet per second. Ya, jadi di sini misalkan kita nyetir mobil nih, kita nyetir mobil untuk mencapai 352 kaki butuh 8 detik misalkan. Dan kita tahu bahwa kecepatan rata-ratanya dari sini kecepatan rata-ratanya adalah 352 dibagi 8, yaitu 44 kaki per detik. Berdasarkan mean value theorem, ya, kita bisa menggaransi bahwa pasti suatu saat ya, di tengah-tengah kita mencapai kecepatan 44 kaki per detik. Jadi kalau kalian lihat speedometernya itu dia akan naik dulu ya. Karena kan di awal ya, the speed will be in the beginning the speed is 0, and then it goes up, and at some point it crosses 44, and then go back up until we arrive to our place. Ya. Jadi kita kecepatannya itu pasti mulai dari 0, kemudian naik, ya, naik sampai turun lagi sampai kita berhenti di 352 kaki. Di situ kita hitung kecepatan rata-ratanya ya, and at that time we compute the average velocity which is 44 feet per second. So in this case we know exactly at some point in between ya, kita tahu bahwa pada suatu waktu ya di antara 0 sampai 8 detik itu kecepatannya yang ditunjukkan di speedometer, the speed will be exactly 44 feet per second. This is what the mean value theorem says. Any question? Any question? No?
I think no, sir.
But this makes sense, right?
Sir, I want to ask. The second sentence, sir, I don't understand. What does that mean?
The mean value theorem says that at some point during the acceleration, the speedometer must read exactly 30 meter per hour or 44 feet per second. Jadi di sini mean value theorem yang kita pelajari ini ya, ini mengatakan bahwa oke, suatu saat ya dari 0 sampai 8 detik, kecepatan di speedometer itu akan persis 44 kaki per detik. Yeah. So from here, from the first sentence, jadi dari pernyataan yang pertama, kita tahu bahwa kecepatan rata-ratanya adalah 44 kaki per detik. We know that the average velocity is 44 feet per second. At this point, is it clear?
Oh, berarti maksudnya konstan ya, sir?
Ya, ya. If we assume that the speed is constant, jadi kalau kita asumsikan bahwa kecepatannya konstan, maka kita tahu bahwa we know that the average velocity is always 44 feet per second to reach 352 feet in 8 seconds. Jadi untuk mencapai 352 kaki dalam 8 detik, kita tahu bahwa kalau kecepatannya harus konstan, maka kecepatannya harus konstan di 44 kaki per detik, ya kan?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. But if we drive a car or a motorbike, jadi kalau kita menyetir mobil atau motor, kecepatan the speed is always start from 0, right? Jadi kecepatannya selalu mulai dari 0, ya kan?
Yes.
So is it possible to have directly, instantly 44 feet per second? Apakah mungkin kita secara otomatis, secara instan dapat? Enggak kan ya? The speed will go up like a curve. Jadi kecepatannya akan naik seperti kurva. So in this case, for us to have average velocity of 44 feet per second ya, karena kita ingin dapat kecepatan rata-rata 44 kaki per detik. At some point we must cross 44 feet per second to go higher than that. Jadi at some point kita pasti kecepatannya akan mencapai 44 kaki per detik untuk lari lebih cepat dari itu, supaya di akhir ya, so that in 8 seconds we have the average velocity is 44 feet per second ya, supaya di akhir nanti kita dapat kecepatan rata-rata adalah 44 kaki per detik. Is it clear now?
Yeah, it's clear. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Any more question? No? Okay. This is another example. Find the function fx whose derivative is sine of x and whose graph passes through point 0 to 2. Jadi kita diminta untuk mencari fungsi f yang mana turunannya adalah sin x. So in this case we have that the function must be minus cos x ya. Ini maaf, ini seharusnya ini saya salah ya. Ini seharusnya bukan g prime tapi di sini g ya. Kemudian yang g yang depan ini seharusnya f ya. So the function f is minus cosine x. Then in this case we find that okay, the function fx is minus cos x plus c for some constant c. Jadi di sini kita mencari fungsi f yang turunannya adalah sin x, yaitu fungsi f-nya adalah minus cos x. Ya. Sehingga fx adalah minus cos x plus c. Ya. Nah, in this case, what we want is the graph passes through 0,2. Jadi kita mau grafiknya itu melewati 0,2. Then what is the value of c? The value of c we can determine from the condition f at point 0 is 2. Ya. Jadi kita bisa menentukan c dari memasukkan f di titik 0 adalah 2. Ternyata, so in this case we find that c is equal to 3. Then the function is minus cos x plus 3. This should be clear. Okay. Now let's just jump to this challenge. So in this challenge, what we want is, okay. So a is equal to 0. In this case, we have f of 0 is equal to 0 squared plus 2 times 0 minus 1, which is minus 1. And b is equal to 1 because of this interval. This is a, this is b. So in this case, we have f of 1 is equal to 1 squared plus 2 times 1 minus 1, which is 2. So here we have that f b minus f of a is equal to, over b minus a is equal to f1 minus f0 over 1 minus 0, which is 2 minus 1 over 1, which is 3. And we have that f prime of x is equal to 2x plus 2. so that f prime of c is equal to 2c plus 2. Then in this case, what we want is it is equal to f prime of c, which is 2c plus 2. So from here, we have that 2c equal to 3 minus 2, which is equal to 1. So c is equal to half. This should be easy. Any question? Any question?
Sir?
Yeah.
Can you go up a little bit? I still confused about from the 3 to f prime c itu, sir.
Here.
The last one. No, the last one.
Yeah. You need to read this. The question is find the value or values of c that satisfy the equation. Ya, kita diminta untuk mencari c yang memenuhi persamaan ini ya. Then that's how to do it. Is it clear now?
Okay, that's clear, sir.
Okay. This is the same. You can do it by yourself at home. Yeah, everything here are the same. And I want to take your time here to learn about monotonicity. It is still related to the first two slides. Yeah, monotonicity atau kemonotonan is like this. Okay. If the first derivative is positive, then f is increasing. If the first derivative is negative, then f is decreasing. Jadi kalau turunan pertamanya adalah positif, maka fungsinya itu selalu naik. Kalau turunan pertamanya negatif, maka fungsinya selalu turun ya. That's why this is called monotonicity. Monotone increasing or monotone decreasing. So, for example, okay, find the critical points of fx equal to x cubed minus 12x minus 5 and identify the open interval for which f is increasing or decreasing. So what we need to do is to find the derivative. The derivative is 3x squared minus 12, for which in this case we have the critical points are x equal to minus 2 from here and x equal to 2 from here. So we have this line, yeah, and then we divide it and we put everything on the first derivative. Ya. Jadi kita masukkan nilainya di turunan pertamanya, and then it turns out that the first derivative at the middle part is negative and the other parts are positive. Ya. Jadi di sini sama prosesnya seperti ketika kita menyelesaikan pertidaksamaan. Cuman bedanya di sini kita cari turunan pertama, kemudian cari akar-akarnya yang membuat turunan pertamanya 0. Kemudian kita gambar garisnya, kita kasih dinding, ya. Kemudian di situ kita hitung nilai, tapi bukan nilai fungsinya ya, tapi nilai turunannya. Apakah turunannya negatif, apakah positif ya. So, if negative then we have decreasing, if positive we have increasing. Jadi kalau negatif kita punya dia monoton turun. So in this case, in the interval from minus 2 to 2, we have a decreasing function. From 2 to infinity, we have increasing function. From minus infinity to minus 2, we have increasing function. Yeah. For this example, any question? Ada pertanyaan untuk contoh ini?
I think no, sir.
Okay, and actually we can use this monotonicity as the first derivative test for local extremum. This is how we test it. You can read it later. This is the step. But this is the example. So find the critical points and then find the function's local and absolute extreme values. Jadi di sini kita diminta untuk mencari titik kritisnya, kemudian menentukan lokal atau absolut minimum atau maksimum, lokal atau absolut ekstremumnya. Dan in this case we find the first derivative, ya, kita cari turunan pertamanya. Turns out that the first derivative is this guy, ya. 4 times x minus 1 over x times 4 times x minus 1 over 3 times x power 2 over 3. And this function is 0 at x equal to 1 and undefined at x equal to 0, ya. Jadi di fungsi ini nilainya 0, turunan pertamanya ini nilainya 0, di x sama dengan 1 dan tidak terdefinisi di x sama dengan 0. So in this case we have the critical points are x equal to 1 and x equal to 0. Then we draw the lines, ya. Kemudian kita gambar garisnya. And we put the points 1 and 0. Kita taruh titik 1 dan 0. And we compute the value, we compute the sign, the monotonicity sign from the first derivative, ya. Jadi kita cari apakah dia monoton turun atau naik dari turunan pertama. Let's say if we put x minus 1, then the value is negative. And if we put x half, let's say here somewhere in between, the value is negative. And if we put x2, the value is positive, ya. Jadi kalau kita masukkan min 1 ternyata negatif, kita masukkan setengah ternyata negatif, kita masukkan 2 ternyata positif, ya. So in this case, from the first derivative test, from this rule, we know that f does not have an extreme value at x0, because f prime does not change sign. Jadi di x sama dengan 0, walaupun dia adalah titik kritis, tapi dia bukan absolut maksimum atau minimum, ya, bukan juga lokal absolut, bukan juga lokal maksimum atau minimum, karena turunan pertamanya tidak berubah tanda. But it has a local minimum at x equal to 1. Tapi dia punya local minimum saat x sama dengan 1, ya. Because f prime change from negative to positive, ya. We see here, if f change from negative to positive, then f has a local minimum. If it change from positive to negative, it has local maximum. If it does not change, then it has no local extremum at all at that point, ya. Any question? Ada pertanyaan? Ada pertanyaan? Any question?
Sir.
Yeah.
I'm still confused about the first derivative test for local extreme. Nah, itu tuh kenapa sih f prime-nya doesn't change sign?
Ini maksudnya?
Yang itu.
Yeah, because in this side is negative and in the middle is also negative. Ya, okay. Karena yang sebelah kiri negatif, yang di tengah juga negatif, dia tidak berubah tanda, ya.
Tapi kalau yang kanan positif itu, yang tengah bisa jadi positif nggak, sir?
No. Enggak. Oke, let me explain it in bahasa fully. Jadi di sini setelah kita tentukan titik ekstrim, titik kritisnya, ya, kita punya x0 dan x1, kita gambar garis, kemudian kita masukkan nilainya ke f prime, ke turunan pertama. Why it does not change sign? Well, this is quite tricky because we have this x power 2 over 3. Jadi kita nggak bisa asal berubah tanda atau tidak, ya. Jadi kita harus coba masukin. But at x equal to 1, we have this, the power is 1. Then we know that if the power is 1, then the sign will change. Gitu. Ya.
Oke.
Ya, seperti itu, ya. Jadi cara yang kita bikin dinding itu tidak berlaku ketika pangkatnya itu tidak bulat, ya. Di sini pangkatnya adalah pecahan, ya. Sehingga kita harus masukkan satu-satu. Oke?
Oke. Oh, berarti kalau bukan pecahan kita bisa langsung masukin semuanya gitu, Sir?
Ya, kalau bukan pecahan, kalau pangkatnya bukan pecahan seperti ini ya. Kalau pangkatnya, ini kan pangkatnya pecahan ya, pangkat 2/3 nih ya. Kalau bukan pecahan, kan kalau bukan pecahan seperti ini pangkat 1 atau pangkat 2 atau pangkat 3 dan seterusnya, itu kita bisa bikin dinding seperti yang kita pelajari waktu pertidaksamaan. Tapi kalau pangkatnya pecahan, ya kita mau tidak mau masukin sendiri.
Disatu-satuin, Sir.
Yes.
Oke.
Yeah, any more question? No? This is the other example. Yeah. The same thing happens. What we need to do is we find the derivative, and we make the derivative to be equal to 0, and it is 0 only at x equal to 1 and x equal to -3. Then we draw the lines. We find the sign of f prime here, plus minus plus, yeah, because we have the power is integer. Jadi di sini karena pangkatnya adalah bilangan bulat, then we can use the usual trick ya. Kita bisa menggunakan trik yang biasanya, menggambar dengan dinding. Then we need to find, okay, we just need to put 0, then the value is negative, then the other parts must be positive. So in this case, since at x minus 3 change from positive to negative, then this is local maximum. And at x equal to 1, since it changed from negative to positive, we have local minimum. Yeah. Any question?
No, Sir.
Then, okay. For this example, untuk contoh ini, which interval the function is increasing? Interval mana saja fungsinya naik? Yeah, from the picture it is clear ya. It is increasing from -4 to -1. Ya, jadi dia naik dari -4 ke -1, and then from half to 2, ya, dari setengah ke 2, ini fungsinya juga naik. And then from 2 to positive infinity. So sorry, from 2 to 4 here we have also increasing, and it is decreasing from -1 to half. Jadi dia turun dari -1 sampai setengah. Is it clear?
Yes, clear. It's clear.
Yes, sir.
Then okay, what is the local minimum? Apa nilai minimum lokalnya?
Di -1.
-1 ya. We have 2 points for which the value of is -1. It is at x equal to -4 and x equal to half ya. Kita punya 2 titik di mana nilai fungsinya adalah -1. Di titik x sama dengan -4 ya, di sini, dan di x sama dengan setengah di sini. Why it is local? Because we can still find a value f that is less than that value. Jadi ini hanya lokal saja karena masih ada nilai f yang lebih rendah lagi. And then what is the local maximum? Or what are the local maximum?
4.
For here?
Yes.
This is local or absolute in this interval?
Absolute.
Absolute.
This is
-1.
At -1 we have the local maximum is 2, and at 2
yeah,
we have the local maximum is 1. Yeah, is it clear? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Clear, sir.
Now this is the next example. So what we need to do is, okay, find h prime of r is, what is the derivative? Okay, let me tell you that the derivative is 3r plus 7 power 2. Turunannya adalah 3 kali r plus 7 pangkat 2. You can do it by using chain rule. Yeah, this is chain rule. Then this is equal to 0 if r is equal to the first derivative is equal to 0 if r is equal to hello.
0, sir.
-7.
Ah, sorry.
Kita mau buat turunan pertamanya 0 ya. At r equal to -7. So if we draw the lines, we have this line. And this is -7. And since this is, the power is 2, we draw it like this, the wall. And on the right side, this is positive. On the left side is still positive because the power is 2. So increasing on minus infinity up to -7, and from -7 to infinity. Why? Because -7 is not included, because at -7 the first derivative is 0 and it has no extreme values. Why? Dia naik ya, monoton naik ketika di interval minus tak hingga sampai -7 dan -7 sampai tak hingga, di mana -7-nya nggak ikut ya. Sorry, it should not be and but or. So let me use this. Ya, jadi dia monoton naik dari minus tak hingga sampai tak hingga kecuali di -7. Then it has no extreme values ya. Dia tidak punya nilai ekstrim, mau baik itu maksimum atau minimum. Why? Because the sign does not change ya, karena tandanya tidak berubah, plus tetap plus ya. So any more question? Any question?
No, it's clear, sir.
Clear. Okay. Let me work on this one. This is the last example for this morning session. Okay, for this one, we have that f prime x is equal to 2x times x minus 2 minus x squared minus 3 times 1 over x minus 2 ya. Sorry, x minus 2 square ya. This is the quotient rule ya. Kita pakai aturan pembagian. Then in this case we have that 2x squared minus 4x minus x squared plus 3 over x minus 2 squared, which in this case we have x squared minus 4x plus 3 over x minus 2 squared, which we have x minus 3 x minus 1 over x minus 2 squared. And then we just need to draw the lines. So we have here 0, 1, 2, 3, and we build the wall. This is power 1 and 2 with the power 2, 3 with the power 1. So if we put 0, here is positive, then negative, negative, positive. Yeah. So in this case, we have that increasing on this interval to 1 union 3 to positive infinity, and decreasing on minus 1 to 2, 2 to 3. Yeah. And in this case we have
sir.
Yeah.
Why minus 1 to 2, sir? Kan 0 positive, sir.
Oh, sorry. Not minus 1. That's correct. It should be 1. My mistake. Thanks for the correction. And it has a minimum of plus, not minimum but maximum, yeah, maximum of at x equal to 1, the function is minus 3 over 2 at x equal to 1, and maximum of at x equal to 3 is 9 minus 3, 6 over 1, 6. X equal to 3, and it has a minimum or not? No. Because there is no other sign change. Then we have this, and since we have only maximum, then in this case we have this is local, and the bottom one is absolute. Yeah. Is it clear?
Yes, sir. Sir, boleh ke atas dikit, sir. Tadi lagi catat. Mau ketinggalan. Oke. Oke, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Any more question? No? Then there are still many challenges that you can work with here at home. Yeah. And we will continue in the afternoon. We will start from this part about concavity and curve sketching, and then applied optimization, then intermediate forms, and L'Hopital rule, which you already know at home, high school. And then, if possible, I want to continue directly until this antiderivative in the afternoon session. Yeah. Sorry that I take extra of your time, because this morning we actually, on your request, we made key answers to the first quiz yesterday. So in this case, yeah, I have to take more of your time. That I'm sorry for that. But let me end this morning session. See you later in the afternoon. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam. Thank you,
Waalaikumsalam.
sir.